Cool. Cool. Well, I haven't been doing sacred segments for 2 or 3 weeks because I've been away, and my
Mhm.
kitchen has been refurbed. So I've been having like builders, and my mother got sick, and I've been caring for her. So there's been a lot of disruption in my life. So this marks maybe a month of not doing sacred segments. So it's good to be back. Great to meet a new face. Tell me a little bit about you and what you do.
So I am married. I have a partner. We've been together about 18 years. Um,
Wonderful.
and we both we work from home.
Yeah.
Um, I own a coaching practice, a professional life and leadership coaching practice called Aspire to Thrive, where I basically support gay men in middle adulthood really discover self-acceptance, and they want to feel good in their own skin kind of thing, and to
Yeah.
live authentically. I'm also an intuitive and a empath,
We share that.
former evangelical minister.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I went through my deconstruction and awakening over the last, I guess, 5 years, 5 to 7 years.
Amazing.
And that's pretty much me.
I very much feel that. I too am an intuitive and an empath. Like you, we share that in common. And also married to a drummer. I'm a singer, as well as singing teacher, and I sing in a gospel choir. Um,
All right.
we've been married for around 13 years, together for almost 15. Um, yeah, I can really sense that kind of spiritual connection in you, and that kind of ministerial vibe, if you like. I recognize
Hmm.
it. I've been told that I was something of a um, maybe a priest in another life. I've been told, you know, how true that is, I don't know, but I very much feel that energy within you. I recognize
Hmm.
it. Yeah, that's great. A couple of people are just joining us, so I'm going to let them in. Um,
Okay.
wow, what a beautiful picture.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a lovely picture. Hi,
Hey, hi
guys.
guys.
Hey, good to see you. Nice to meet you. My name's Alexis. And this is Greg, who just joined us. We haven't met before. We've just meeting this evening. We were just sharing a little bit about our histories. Are you guys in England? I can't hear you.
Yep, we're in the UK. I
I
think
can
John.
I can hear you. Yes. Um, what are your names?
So my name is Andy Porter,
Andy. Great to meet you.
Andy, and the other one in red is Jonno.
Jonno.
Jonno
Hi.
Webster.
I can't quite hear you yet. Maybe you're
There we are.
disconnected. There you
Oh,
are.
there we go. Happy
Great to
days.
meet you guys. Are you in the UK? I can hear from your accents you might be.
Yes. Yep.
Where in the UK are you joining us from?
Right. Sorry, I just missed that.
Where in the UK are you?
We're both in Wiltshire.
Oh, that's proper UFO country, isn't it? I call
Yeah,
it.
sort of next to Avebury, really. So I'm kind of
Yeah,
work like 10
beautiful.
minutes from Avebury. So prop circle
Beautiful.
land. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that part of the world. Um, well, tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll go around the group one more time. Um, just tell us your names to start with, and a little bit about your organisation.
Are you going
Jonno,
to go
you
first, or
start.
shall
You can start, mate. You
I?
like.
Okay, well, I'm Jonno. I've been working spiritually for about 22 years now. I work as a psychic surgeon, or I specialize as a psychic surgeon with my guides, and I also specialize in doing negative clearances, people who are hearing voices, modern day exorcism, things like that. That's what I specialize in as work. And together with Andy, I'm the co-founder of the Spirit Release Academy. And we teach people around the world, we teach professional practitioners around the world to do what we do. And we've been running for about 3 years. We've been teaching for about a year and a half, trading for a year and a half. And we now have in excess of 70 practitioners from Australia all the way through to Malaysia, Europe, America, Canada, South America, all across the world.
How wonderful. I am very interested in everything that you're talking about. I was saying before to Greg that as he is, I'm an intuitive and have been for, you know, as long as I can remember, and very much resonate with everything that you're saying. I'm also a singer, and have been trained in a healing technique called the King technique by the Etheric Society, which I was a member of for many, many years. The Etheric Society was founded by the only Western master of yoga called Sir George King, who was an advanced psychic and an extraterrestrial contactee. And he was instructed by the Cosmic Master to set up the Etheric Society. He used to do sometimes up to 13 hours of yoga a day. And
Right.
he was very advanced. He also used to do remote viewing for the police. And I attended like a couple of workshops. I was given. It's funny, isn't it? Like divine timing and cosmic timing and all of that. You know, like how things come into your life. Like you guys, like all of you guys today. You know, I really am a great believer in divine timing and synchronicity, and there's been so many examples of that in my life, and I'm sure you guys are the same. So these two books came into my life, one through my grandfather, another one through a friend at a party, and I was like, wow, they're kind of glowing, these books. And I went to a workshop about pendulum dowsing, and I had all of these psychic experiences during the workshop. So I attended another one called Unlock Your Psychic Powers, and I was kind of recruited to go into the Etheric Society, and I learned many things over many, many years, but I left the society for various reasons. I won't go into the whole story, but very interesting to hear a little bit of your background. Jonno, tell me, what's that pendant you're wearing?
That's just, I use this for protection.
And what is that symbol?
That symbol represents connection to source.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the higher beings, however we describe that. And that symbol is my birthstone, is my birth sign, Aquarius.
Beautiful. The first one, is that a Celtic symbol?
It's not. I'm a druid. I practice druidry, and I'm very much into Celtic imagery.
Beautiful.
Sorry, my daughter's phoning me.
Great.
But no, it's not. It was just something that I was looking at. I've probably been wearing it like this probably for about 20 years. And it was just something that I saw. It was described as connection to source, and it just appealed to me immediately. So I bought it, and I've been wearing it every day ever since.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself and your organisation. Please tell me again your name, your partner. I'm sorry, I'm a bit bad at remembering names. My apologies.
That's okay. So my name is Jonno.
Yes, and your partner?
And this is Andy, my business partner.
Andy. Andy, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my kind of story is very similar to Jonno's, really. We kind of like dovetail in on that kind of same pipeline. So again, my kind of job description really was kind of psychic surgeon. So 20 odd years ago, went through a spiritual experience, developed myself spiritually, I started to see entities basically everywhere, and mainly demonic negative entities, which was a bit of a bit of a struggle. So for 2 years, I had quite a difficult time because I wasn't really spiritual and I didn't kind of do religion or spiritual stuff at all. So I started to see things popping up behind people continually with different faces and different entities and that kind of stuff. And that kind of pushed me to Glastonbury in the UK, which is the big kind of spiritual hub really here, and bought lots of books, David Icke, all sorts of stuff, did lots of reading, and kind of ended up on a spiritual path, into meditation and then trance channeling, and then kind of met my spirit guide, Chen, and he kind of explained that he would continue to work with me from that day to my last day, basically, in the kind of trance method of psychic surgery. So I'd have clients that came to the house, I'd put my hands on them, go into trance. Chen would take over, speak through me, and he'd talk to the client and perform what he called modern psychic surgery. So he'd remove and detach negative entities and take negative energy away from people, talk to discarnate spirits that were locked into people's etheric field. And then, and I've been doing that for quite a few years, the same as Jonno, really, different timelines. And then I kind of met a guy called Dr. Terence Palmer. So he was a UK psychologist, really, and hypnosis practitioner. And he was looking to do a research study on spirit possession. And he wanted to find a medium that would work with him to basically look at how we could connect and detach what he believed were negative entities or dark force entities, as he called them, really connected to people, and the people that had really severe problems like schizophrenia, intrusive voices, thoughts, self-harm and suicide. Terry kind of believed that this was a spiritual problem, not really a pharma problem, and he wanted to prove that to kind of mental health. So I kind of worked with him for about 10 years in a research capacity, and he was writing papers and talking to psychiatry in the UK, and he flew around the world giving presentations about spirit possession, that kind of thing. And we sort of developed this protocol that we used to clear people's fields, which now at SRA, the Spirit Release Academy, John and I have kind of taken that on. So Terry passed with COVID back in kind of 2021. And then for a couple of years, nothing really happened. I was busy, Jonno was busy. And then we got together, had a few beers, had a chat, and said, let's spin this up again and start teaching practitioners to redo the method. So John and I have kind of amended the protocol that we worked with at the time. And under the flag now or banner of Spirit Release Academy, we're teaching holistic practitioners in the methods that we use to basically clear people and to remove a lot of this negative, intrusive aspect through the intervention method that we kind of have developed together.
Are you both channelers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so both trance channel.
Okay, fantastic. I'm no stranger to trance mediumship. I'm not a medium, although I would be open to training as one. I do have a mother with mental health issues who has recently been diagnosed with a rare form of dementia. But throughout my life, I've dealt with her sort of like mental health issues and felt convinced that there was a dark entity attached to her, and often discussed that with people, and have had people stay in the house who have said that kind of thing. There've been a lot of disturbances, psychic disturbances in the house, and I've had lots of those kind of experiences throughout my life.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
But this work is for that.
Yes.
Your mother would have been one of our cases.
Yes.
And perhaps you would have been one of our students.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not by chance that we're meeting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, this is it. Mental health and anxiety is an epidemic across the world at the moment.
Yes.
Particularly with young people. I say that, but I don't believe that it is. I believe that younger people have the ability to talk about it more than the older generations. It doesn't necessarily mean that the older generation doesn't have it. I think that the younger generation are more open to talking about it. But at the start of mental health, at the start of anxiety, at the start of anything, is making sure that your energy is clear and pure. And we use a phrase called sovereign, that your energy is sovereign. That means that you're the sole owner of your energy. There's no interference. Everybody has been touched by trauma in their lives one way or another. We're energy source human beings. That's exactly what we are. We're energy source. An energy source can attract energy source. So therefore, many people are carrying things around that they don't require and don't need. And that's without going into the negative influence. As soon as you start talking about the negative influence, it's very easy to see why. You've only got to watch the news and hear that someone has gone out and harmed another or maimed or killed somebody else. I mean, go to Peter Sutcliffe. Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper, killed and ripped 9 women. And the reason why was because he was tormented with a voice in his head telling him that today is the day he is going to go out and kill people. We take those voices away.
Amazing. I have many questions for you guys. I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping and just let you know that in a couple of minutes I'm going to ask Greg to give us maybe 10 minutes to talk about a little bit about what he does, and then at 1/2 the hour I'm going to hand over to you guys to really delve into your topic and just talk about all the things that you want to talk about, and maybe have some questions as well. There will or may be other people joining us throughout the time that we're on here. I know a friend of mine who lives in Egypt, who's a famous psychic from the UK called Tracy Ash, may be joining us. Tracy is a very, very interesting character. She studied at the College of Psychic Studies and works with the United Nations. She was recruited because they kind of knew what she was doing with the extraterrestrials, and
sounds interesting.
very, very interesting. She owns an eco hotel in Luxor, two eco hotels in Luxor, and I've kind of been guided to take a group of people there and do some spiritual work. So I'm kind of like, I've been collecting people to do this over the course of the last few months, and I'm yet to finalize when and what this work is, but it feels like it's going to happen and be the start of something big. But Tracy's work is as a gatekeeper, so for those very large negative entities to be kept away from the earth, and
Sorry, Alexis, is this a live recording, or are we recording this and you cut it and chop it and then put it out?
No, it's a live recording.
Okay, cool.
It's a live recording. There's no editing involved whatsoever.
Oh, right, okay.
And is it going out live?
Yes.
Can you send us the link? Because
no, it's not going out live. It will just be in about 2 or 3 weeks. It will be put on my YouTube channel, and I'll send you guys the link.
Oh, perfect.
In a couple of weeks, where you can share it on any of your platforms.
Thank you. Can you just repeat Tracy's surname, please?
Tracy Ash.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be joining us. Greg, I'm intrigued to talk to you a little bit more, and great to meet you. Tell us a little bit about where we can find you and know about your work. Do you have a website?
Yes. So my website is www.aspire2thrive.net. I'm in the process of revamping everything, but that it's still up. The old one is, and it'll give you sufficient information about my coaching.
And you mentioned that you used to be a minister. Is that right?
Yes. So actually, ever since I was a child, I've always been drawn to spiritual things, and could tell, I had senses that that were very clairsentient. I knew when energy would shift. I knew when I could definitely read people's emotions and their, even to the point to where what they were thinking along with those emotions. I grew up in a very toxic environment, talking about trauma. My mother was a classic narcissist. And so me and my sister we went through a lot of physical and mental and emotional abuse. Um, my mother's no longer in my life. And that trauma produced my dark night of the soul, which allowed me to, begin to awaken. I went to a small Pentecostal university in Tennessee, um, which is still southeastern United States. By the way, I love you guys' accents, by the way. I'm sorry I'm trashing things with my southern my southern drawl.
It's good to us, Greg.
But yes, so I graduated from there and was in ministry for about 10 years. I had a lot of gifts that I flowed in the church, like prophetic gifts. I gave a lot of accurate prophecies that came to pass. So it gave me a lot of recognition. And I was very young. I was like 29, 30 years old. Um, I have seen some miracles through prophetic utterances. And so I was really strong in the church. And then obviously coming out of the closet changed things. I was rejected by the church and turned out. Um, and I just became disillusioned with it all. I actually, at the time, right before I left the church, I was working under an international minister who was on television and everything. And I saw a lot of corruption, a lot of misappropriation of money, and just a lot of things that just completely turned me off to the ministry. Um, but in the end, it led me. I appreciate my journey, and I'm thankful for and grateful for every step, because I know that each step of the way I learned lesson after lesson, and I continue to grow as a man, spiritual being, and so it led me to a completely different world when I started to awaken. And that kind of started to happen when I was in coaching school. I don't know if you guys are familiar with IPEC. They are an international school. We had students in London. Um, but I started studying intuition as one of the classes there. And then I was like, oh my gosh, a lot of these same gifts they just operate under a different label. So in the church, they're called one thing, but you cross over into psychology and science, and it's called something completely different, but it's the same gift. It's pretty much operates the same way. So a lot of my ministerial gifts translated perfectly fine and even became stronger when I was able to take the limitations and the constraints of religion off of me, and I have always been someone who I believe my life mission is to support others on their journey. And so my coaching practice focuses on helping gay men in their middle adult years develop radical self-acceptance, to feel good in their own skin, accept who they are, and they're able to live authentically aligned to that. And I'm also a core energy specialist, which came out of IPEC as well. Um, it's a system we use based on the 7 levels of energy that Dr. Bruce Snyder came up with, who's the founder of the coaching school. But that's another thing under my hat. As you guys were talking, I thought of all kinds of stuff. UFOs. I actually have done CE5 contacts before. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dr. Stephen Greer.
Oh, yeah.
But my very first one was pretty crazy. And I can go into that at some point. But I am also a tarot card reader, oracle cards. I do dowsing. I don't know about the whole medium thing. I do know that I have spoken to people who have transitioned, and they've given me messages to tell someone else something when I'm with them. Like, I could sense, and it kind of came again through clairaudience, like I could hear immediately, tell, XYZ this. And so that doesn't happen a lot, but it is there. It is present in my life. I'm married to a wonderful man. We've been together for about 16, no, going on 18 years. We have a home in North Georgia, which is about an hour north of the Atlanta metro, which is basically the New York of the South. I hate living in the United States right now. I absolutely despise Donald Trump, and I would love to escape if I could. I'm sure you guys have heard about the madness that's going on here. Lots of tension and oppression,
Yeah.
society.
I was teaching psychic surgery in America just about 4 weeks ago.
Mm,
The vast majority of people that we spoke to were very anti
yeah.
Mr. Trump.
His disapproval rating has reached 73%. And this Saturday, there's over 1,800 large protests that'll be going on throughout the country.
Wow.
Yeah, but I won't go into politics. But I put that in there that I live here, but I wish I didn't.
Come over here, Greg.
Yeah.
I've always loved, I wish I could travel across the pond. I would do it in a heartbeat. If financially it would work out for me, but so I guess that's kind of me. I consider myself an amateur to you guys. You guys seem to have so much experience, and the things that you're talking about are super interesting, which I could probably sit and just listen to for, I'm very curious. I'm like a sponge right now, just trying to learn everything I can to grow and grow spiritually. But that's pretty much it. That's a lot, I guess.
There was quite a lot that you spoke about that I really resonated, particularly with the narcissistic
Yeah.
background, mother, and I wanted to just let you all know about the Sacred Segments community, which is about 400 strong, 400 people. There's been so many different guests through the last few years, one of which was or is a lady called Annalise Stone, who is she's a witch, but she is a professor of metaphysics in LA, and she witnessed her father kill her mother.
Oh, blimey.
And I have 3 guests on who witnessed their father killing their mother, and they were talking and bonding through that experience, and it was an incredible episode, and there was a lot of healing that happened during that episode, but particularly Annalise Stone talks about her study that she's done on psychic ability, that she's really delved into, and found out that the common denominator is trauma, and trauma is kind of the thing that brings up the psychic ability, if you like. It dials it right up, and yeah, it's a really interesting thing. So when you were talking, Greg, about your mother, I now see that kind of trauma, which I've also experienced, as a kind of training. I'm sure you guys would agree. It's a kind of training in dealing with very difficult energies, and you come out as a really sort of empathic, compassionate, healing force. And it's a lifelong journey. You never stop learning, right?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to share that little bit of information there that she shared with me. Thank you for sharing, Greg. Really great to meet you.
Yes, same here.
Guy, I hope you'll stick around for the rest of the session. There's a lady who is a healer that may be joining us from the States called Amel. She sent me a message. She was a recent guest. She's a Sufi mystic. She may be joining us during this session. Guys, please share more about your work. I'm intrigued and I have many questions about the Spirit Release Academy. Who would like to start, or do you just want to delve in there? How do you want to do this?
I think possibly explain how we work.
Okay.
We both Andy and I work in trance. We're trance mediums. We work separately. We have our own individual businesses. When we do the work that we teach in the academy, our typical clients could be anybody who just doesn't feel right. They feel that they are just not themselves anymore. They, perhaps they've been to Walmart, perhaps they've been to a big supermarket, something's happened in their day and they just don't feel that they're themselves. That would be the simplest case for us to work. We also have other people that have addictions and may have self-medication, and we work to help those people with mental health, as Andy said earlier, schizophrenia. And we also have people that are suicidal on the edge of a bridge, ready to jump. There's reasons for that. There's reasons that we see for that. And there's ways that we can teach to clear those reasons, usually with dark force entity infiltration. And they're basically the ones that are given the auditory voices, the commands. They're working with AI. They're working with implants. So I'm sure that I'm sure you've both know of situations where I'm talking to the three of you now, and you're all hearing exactly what I'm saying, but one of you will understand it differently. And sometimes that one person understands it very differently, even though they heard exactly the same words and exactly the same intention in my voice. And that's because there's implants that infiltrate the hearing and understanding, so that, and it's the same for the eyes. Very regularly we see things around the eyes. So people see reality, but that reality is then transfigured into their reality, which is not true to everybody else. So we clear AI implants, we clear dark force entities, which we grade between 1 and 3. 1 being just there, really, bit of a bugger. 2, which is a little bit more mischievous, and 3, which is the full-on naughty boy. And they're there to raise your adrenaline, to drive your adrenaline. And one of the ways of doing that is to get you to either think about suicide, commit suicide, or harm others. So they're the naughty boys. They're the ones that are really, and they're quite rare, but they are there. Also, we deal with many different things. Any type of intergalactic communication, we work through the protocol with that. The work that we do is normally instantly received. So the work that we do is remote. I can work with Andy. The way that we teach it is we have a facilitator and a medium. The facilitator and the medium could hook up exactly the same way we are now in Zoom. The facilitator will manage the sessions. They do not have to be a medium. They will manage the session. They will control the session completely, and the medium will work with their spirit guide. The facilitator will talk directly to the spirit guide, not the medium. Our clients can be anywhere in the world. So as an example, if Greg was facilitating for me, Greg is in Georgia, Atlanta, USA. I'm in Wiltshire, UK, and our client could be in New Zealand.
Oh.
Our client is not present. We don't have any clients present, so there's no influence to our work. And usually the result of the work is received within minutes. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days, but regularly it's instant, regularly it's immediate. Both of us also work as psychic surgeons. I guess my work kind of specializes in tumor, bone structure, mental health, and eyes. Andy will obviously talk about his. I work with my guide, White Hawk, and he's my master guide, and he has 2 psychic surgeons in his healing team. Andy will describe his in more detail as well. But together as the Academy, we have a castle in Wiltshire. Well, we don't have a castle, we have an office in a castle.
We'd like to have a castle.
Yeah, we'd like to have a castle, but we have an absolutely fantastic office. We flew out to America last year in New York where we did training. I've just gone back and taught psychic surgery in America as well. We have people that are interested in us flying to South Africa, Australia, all around the world, but our teaching is also done online. So we have the majority of our students that do online training, and that works just as well. It's just that, as you can imagine, being in the same room as myself and Andy for a week, there's a lot more stories that come out. It goes into a lot more detail. And we have a bit of fun as well.
I want to welcome Amel, who's joined us.
Yeah,
Thank you
hi.
for being here. Good to see
Hi,
you.
everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Amel.
Hi. Sorry to be late.
Talking about divine timing and everything happening at the perfect time. So I
Thank
think you've arrived just at the right spot. We'll come to you in a little while. We're just hearing from these guys. And Andy, do you want to tell us a little bit about your work together with Jonno? And before you do, I'm intrigued to know who these guys are to your left and right, these little creatures. Can you tell me who they are?
Yeah. So I've kind of got, obviously, because of what we do, we're working against negative entities continually, really. So these are kind of food dogs, kind of temple dogs. And the idea is they kind of protect their protection effectively. And I've got a bit of a, when I go somewhere, I look for kind of old antique things in the UK, and kind of the whole room is full of all sorts of kind of food dog artifacts and things, really, like things from kind of, Burma, Thailand, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a hobby, really, but the idea is that they're supposed to keep me safe, is the plan.
Excellent. Very much. Temple dogs. Okay, I'm learning. I love it.
And you don't need to feed them, and you don't need to pick up after them either.
That's handy, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent.
So, yeah, and of course it looks quite nice as well from a presentation perspective, I
Yeah.
think, really.
Yeah.
So I think, so the story really, Alexis, from our perspective, really. So Jonno and I I'd been working with Dr. Palmer for 10 years, obviously from a research capacity in this mental health area, looking about depossession of spiritual entities and how we kind of perform modern day exorcism, really, to move people that are having these negative intrusive thoughts and intrusive ideas and self-harm and obviously suicide. So it's quite a fringe area that's quite niche, really. And Dr. Palmer was quite a character. So he was one of not many people, I guess, in the world that was very interested to prove the link between these sorts of mental health conditions and spirit possession. So he wrote a book called The Science of Spirit Possession. And the aim of that book was to educate psychiatry, really, so that he wanted psychiatrists and trainee psychiatrists around the world to be taught the concepts of spirit possession with these mental health conditions. Not to say that every mental health condition is a spiritual problem, but we think 80% probably are. So we've Terry, myself, and Jonno worked on over 1,000 cases that were documented. And Terry was quite fastidious, really, about documenting things because he had a doctorate, a PhD, so he came from academia. So in that 1,000 cases that we worked through, he would connect with the clients before the session. He'd do a video with them and talk to them about their presenting problem. And then him and I would connect, or obviously Jonno too, as we were working together at the time with different mediums. But so Terry would connect as a facilitator across Zoom. The medium, so myself and Jonno would get no information about the client at all, like just literally case number 123. So we wouldn't know the sex of the client, the age of the client, the presenting problems of them at all. And it was the spirit guide's job was to connect to the client's energetic field, the auric field, basically, to scan that field and to find out what was connected And obviously, Jonno went through quite a few of those things earlier. So we're looking for AI implants, entity connections. Are there earth bands that are connected that are kind of basically detailing thought forms, causing intrusive thoughts, that type of thing. So with that 1,000 client basis, Terry's kind of work showed us really that 80% of the people either felt much better or had no symptoms at all afterwards. So we had a 20% gap really. So we thought from our perspective and our research, there were 20% of the people presenting with these sorts of problems that we didn't really achieve a particularly good outcome for. And we needed to work out whether that was a mental health problem, a proper mental health problem that wouldn't be fixed with or resolved with spiritual techniques, or whether those people have got psychological issues. And of course, spiritual intervention was then not going to help really. So that was the kind of background in the way that we were working. So we were teaching, I met Jonno basically, and obviously he was working as part of the team, and there were a few other mediums as well at the same time. So that was where we were really. So it was kind of 10 years of research to come up with this protocol to basically scan the client or recipient, as we call them, as etheric field, and to dive in, do a deep dive. So we're looking for portals inside the field, people that have dementia and things like that. We would find portals. So other entities are coming and going inside that person's field. And then you would see that entity and you could talk to them direct, basically. And then Terry was also working on quite a big research program, again, to try and educate academics, really, and academia around this spiritual possession that we kind of knew existed, we were finding. And we started to work on something called telepathic hypnosis. And the concept being that a medium can connect to a recipient client that's got problems, and the medium can push their energy and their conscious awareness into that person's etheric field, and you can start to feel what they're feeling, and you can start to have the same thoughts. So it's kind of the medium's amalgamating their conscious awareness into somebody else's field. And of course, if that person has got entities and things connected, the idea being that we could try and hypnotize them through telepathic hypnosis rather than trying to hypnotize them consciously. Because if you're working with a client in a conscious perspective and there are entity attachments and those sorts of things behind the scenes, it's very difficult for hypnosis practitioners to try and get to the higher self, because of course the attachment is going to block that connection. But with telepathic hypnosis, you can go in the back door effectively, literally, kind of in the back door into the mind, and actually dive into the thought process, detail what's there, try and clear and remove any overriding control from a negative perspective, and provide healing to the client using that kind of remote method. And of course, it doesn't require any permission from the client either, because the way that we found we could step over the conscious agreement was to, again, question the higher self to get permission. And this is the way that we work now with Spirit Release Academy. The protocol we use, we don't really need the client's conscious permission, because quite a lot of our clients, of course, are sectioned. So they're in mental health institutions. They're not really able to speak and talk. They're obviously medicated quite badly. But when we connect to them, we can connect to the higher self to get permission to do the work and the healing. And then obviously we can detach and work through a protocol to clear everything that's negative. And quite often people literally come out of medical institutions the next day or within a few days, because they stop hearing voices, they stop having the negative thoughts, and of course the anger, rage, and all of the things that tend to go with that low frequency control, really. So that's kind of how so this protocol that we've developed, we kind of took the base protocol. Jonno and I have recently updated it, and this is what we teach to our practitioners that effectively are worldwide. And this is what we're kind of doing now, really. We're trying to surface the work that we're doing, because we want mental health, psychiatry, and of course people that have got these problems to know that there is alternative ways to do these things. And Dr. Palmer and myself actually worked on a guy, a veteran actually, that had been hearing voices for 20 years. He tried to commit suicide 3 or 4 times. He's got quite a sad life story, really. He'd been in and out of different institutions. He'd tried every medication there was and had been hearing voices effectively since he came back from an active war zone. So this is a UK veteran. And literally so Terry basically paid for him to come down to a workshop where Jonno lives in Corsham. And we spent the day with him effectively. And we videoed and recorded the whole session. And literally within that day, we detached and cleared some entities and some earthbounds that were connected to him, and the voices literally stopped on camera. And he sat there that day and was absolutely amazed that literally voice free. And then we sent a film team to his house 2 or 3 weeks later to document and record, was he still voice free? And he was still voice free, basically, because we'd removed and detached these entities. So we've got the filming of that on our websites and on our YouTube channel, so you can actually see that happening live, and you can see Dr. Palmer actually talking to him and working through that whole negative detachment. And of course, the saddest thing for Mike was, he became really, really angry afterwards, because he said, I've lost 20 years of my life and you guys fixed me in an hour. Like, why do people not know about this work? And that was the whole problem, and it still is the problem, really. We're still trying to surface, the fact that there are not just us, but other people that can do this type of thing. And the healing and effect for the client is dramatic, and it kind of needs to be brought onto the normal playing field, really.
Yeah.
Fantastic work you're doing, guys. Really commend what you're doing. Is your YouTube channel Spirit Release Academy?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can pop a few links in the chat, actually, if you like.
Yeah, please do that. Yes, and on the Facebook group, if you wouldn't mind sharing the link to both your work, you as well, Greg and Amel, please share the links to your work so that the Facebook community can access and know about your work, whether they watch this recording or just see the post. It's a great way of sharing and connecting with the community at large.
What's your Facebook page?
It's just Sacred Segments. So yeah, please do join that, and feel free to use that as a space to promote your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Andy, you answered my question. I was going to ask you about, how long the work takes, and also whether you need permission. And you did answer both of those. Obviously, I imagine the work varies, from case to case. Not always an hour. But I do have another question as to whether, my understanding of how entities get in is through tears in the aura, through abuse and whatever. Am I right in thinking that?
That's how I see it.
Yeah, we sort of see it as perforations. So psychically, we see holes and perforations in the auric field that have been opened up, generally through substance, that type of thing, primarily, or like you say, trauma obviously causes the same problems.
And, addiction, all of those things. Yeah, I get that. And I've actually seen and encountered those entities myself through, ex-partners, and I've seen, people that I've been dealing with that have had addiction problems physically change, where their face morphed into another entity in front of me. It was really interesting what you guys were saying about, like other entities using AI. I'd never thought of that in such a way that I know that they can get onto video or internet or whatever, but it does make sense that they could use anything, right?
Yeah, I mean they've been using devices probably for a number of years. Now we would term those devices artificial intelligence. So the title to AI is now more popular. Previously, certainly doing clearances with Whitehawk maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they would find devices behind the ears, in the back of the neck. Particularly the back of the neck is quite popular. Whereas now we title it all under artificial intelligence.
When you say the back of the neck, do you mean on a human?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Within the back of the neck.
Okay, because I teach singing, and I often talk about the medulla oblongata being and keeping that eye open, and having the space behind your neck open so that you can, kind of contain the sound. It's a really interesting correlation there that you're talking about.
Yeah,
So,
open but protected.
right. So
We do a lot with psychic protection, a huge amount with psychic protection, because it goes without saying that the work that we do is very energetically dangerous.
I was going to say, or ask you perhaps, like, just in your daily lives, do you suddenly have a feeling that you might be interfered with? Could you just be going about your daily life doing a regular thing, and then suddenly you get angry, or something happens in your life, and are you aware of the signs? How does it work?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say not so much for myself and Andy. We've kind of, I don't want to use the word mastered it, but we've been practicing it religiously for a number of years. So our psychic protection is pretty much up there. The only time I have either had my wife say to me that there is something with me and I'm not myself, which I haven't known about, or when I've not felt myself, is when I've had a number of operations in recent years that have involved general anaesthetic, and when I've had operations, I've picked something up in the hospital and brought it home. But you're absolutely right in what you say, particularly when you come into this industry as someone that battles against the dark.
Yeah.
You're putting your head in radar a little bit, and that can lead to attacks. That can lead to having unwanted attention. When it comes to our training, we go into so much detail about protecting yourself, your home, your family, and it's not hard. It's not, we're not talking about having to do rituals every day. Well, I guess it is ritualistic, but it can be done in minutes. It can be done in seconds even, or you can take as much time as you want to take. But protection is at the forefront of what we teach, looking after your own energy, keeping your sovereignty, looking after your home, looking after your family, or else you can't do this work. And one of the things with the clearance reports that we give out is that we always advise and try and help people to look after and take responsibility of their own energy. So this is not necessarily that. I guess a lot of businesses, the first thing you think about is how can you get repeat clients? And we don't want repeat clients. If we have repeat clients, it means that our work isn't working. So it goes against the business ethics, but it goes very much into our own professional ethics. So when you receive a report, you have a guide to help you to understand the basics of psychic protection so that you can keep your own energy and that you won't have to rely on someone like me or Andy or another professional to help you in the future. And of course they do. Every now and again we might have someone come in once a year just for a little clearing. We might have people that have got some serious issues that come in a little bit more often. And I also have someone that goes to festivals during the summer practically every week. And at those festivals, she will do whatever chemical base entertainment she wants to do, open up her energy completely. And then on the Monday, she has a clearing. And the clearing is part of her festival experience.
Wow.
It's not something I particularly agree with using it for that sense, but it works for her.
Okay. You mentioned your wife and her recognizing an entity with you. Is she psychic as well?
Yeah, my wife, myself and my wife teach psychic and spiritual development. My wife is a demonstrating medium.
Mhm.
How did you meet?
How did, how long have you got? It's
Well,
quite a long story, but very quickly, I was working spiritually. I had a very heavy divorce. I came out of all of my work. I only continued to work a little bit spiritually. I was invited back into a physical circle for a demonstration in trance. I went there. That circle who held it wanted me to go back weekly. So I went back weekly, and that circle then went to Oxford for a physical mediumship workshop for a weekend. And in the circle was somebody called Michelle, and she brought her sister along to the weekend workshop. and her weekend workshop was Louise. And instantly we both knew that we'd end up together. There was no
question.
There was no flirting, there was no nothing like that on the weekend. But we would always end up sitting next to each other. We'd always end up talking. And we both went our separate ways without saying anything. We both knew that we would end up being married. So over the course of time, the stars aligned even more than they did. And we got married 3 years ago.
Congratulations. That's a
Thank
lovely
you.
story. A regular on Sacred Segments is a man from Ireland that lives in Spain called Carl Preisler, who's a trance medium. He also does spirit release work, and his guide, who he channels regularly on Sacred Segments, called Katarang, who is, I believe, Tibetan. I'm not quite sure if he is Chinese or Tibetan. I think Tibetan. Speaks, and we are, I ask him questions, and so does whoever's on the group. Perhaps if you'd be interested, I would love for you guys to come back in the future and go into trance, and if there's a communication that can happen between whoever's on the group and your guides, if you'd be open to that, that would be a great thing for us to do, if you'd be interested to do that.
Yeah, sounds fair, Alex.
That would be great. Thank you. Can I ask how much your service is or is there different prices according to different circumstances?
Each practitioner has the right to charge what they charge because it's their own individual businesses. But generally, you'll find that the clearings are between £100 and £200.
Okay, thank you. And how long does it last?
It lasts until someone loses the energetic protection.
Okay. And is there some kind of protection or something that you could do in a short time for us now before I ask Amel some questions about her and her work?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Is there something that you guys could share that's like a brief kind of protection for us now, here, today?
Yeah, we can do a very quick protection meditation. It won't take too long.
That would be great. Please do that. Thank you.
Do you want to do it, Andy, or shall I?
Yeah, you can, mate. If you want to do that, it's fine.
You just sit back and enjoy the ride, mate. Okay. So in which case then, just please relax, close your eyes, and allow your breathing to take its most natural form. We're not going to force our breath. We're just going to relax into it just for a second. And we're just going to be conscious about our own energy, nobody else's. We're not having spiritual connection. This is just us, sitting in the moment, just now. And now we begin to elongate the breath. Now we begin to take a little bit longer breathing in and breathing out. And what this will do is send signals to the brain telling you that you are safe, telling you that you are comfortable. And at the same time, with your vision and imagination, place a circle of energy around you. Energy is alive. Energy has intention. So it is important that your intention goes into this circle. This circle of light cannot be overstepped. This circle of light cannot be undertaken, cannot be broken, and cannot be stepped through. Within this circle of light is your energy and your energy only. The more you relax, the stronger your circle will be. This circle is your protection. You can extend this circle through your home and through your family. But right now I ask you to extend your circle to me as I extend my circle to you. And you will see and you will visualize that our two circles become linked. You are within your circle. I am within mine. But together we form a link. And now expand your circle to the rest of those within our group. And you will see that the circles also link together with you solely in your circle, with me solely in mine. But together we are linked and we form a chainmail of energy. This is our protection. In protection and in the link we have unity. In unity we have community. In unity and community we have strength, and in strength we have power. There is nothing that can step into our circles. There is nothing that can infiltrate and penetrate where we have an energy of love, an energy of peace, and an energy of understanding. As my guide White Hawk says, love is the greatest energy in the world, but it's not used enough. So fill your circle with love. Extend that love to me as I extend mine to you. And together we move forward in the light as one. As and when you are ready, take your breath, bring yourself back into the room, and open your eyes and take some water.
I reckon you might have done that before.
That's a very simple protection.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jonno.
mate.
That was beautiful.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to share something very quickly before I ask Mel some questions. You know, hopefully you guys will stick around for the rest of the session. I've been doing sacred segments for about maybe 2-3 years now. Originally, it was called something completely different and was meant to be called Magic at the Palace, and then COVID hit. And my goal of it was going to be in Fulham Palace, and I did a meditation in the chapel, and I asked for permission from the building to hold it in the building, and I got a definite yes. And then of course COVID hit, and I decided to take this online, and I've managed to connect with some beautiful souls across the world, including yourselves, and you know, it continues to grow. You never know who is going to turn up, but one of the times on sacred segments we had some interference where somebody hacked the group, and there was a Nazi flag, a naked person was on a loop, and there was this horrible, horrendous noise. And eventually we managed to get them off and clear it, but we were all left with this disgusting, horrible, heavy feeling. And you know, there was a few healers in the group that did an energetic clearing, and obviously there was some interference that happened there, right? But I took that as a really positive note in terms of like that we were doing really good work, because they wouldn't be interfering with us had we not. You get it, right? And it's interesting, isn't it, that these dark forces, they want to stop love. They want to stop us elevating our frequency, both collectively and individually. So thank you for the work that you do. It's really beautiful. I'm really, really privileged and humbled to meet you. Thank you so much, all of you. I know that we're all on this path together. Amel, thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to see you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your work.
So I used to live in London, and Carl is very close to me because we used to do a mediumship together, and we created the first spiritual circle where we were trying to save some lost souls, and we have done that for a while. And Carl also allowed my guide to come through. So my guide is the healing happens through laughter. and it's really important when that laughter comes, because at the end everybody's laughing and nobody understands what happened, what's happening to me. And I call my guide Shihi, because it's the two different kind of entities. But through the studies I did at the College of Psychic Studies, now I live in the US, and I lived in different states in the US. And at the moment I'm living in Portland, Oregon. So that's why I am based here since a few years. It was very interesting to hear you talking about what you call spirit possession. Some people would call that spirit attachment. And in the studies I have done in London, there was a lot talk about the spirit attachment. So I come from Algeria, and in Algeria we always have some kind of ceremonies, but the ceremonies they have to do with music and dance, and that's how we help that person to release that entity. And the way we do it, it's very it's too long, but I'm going to just explain. We believe that each one of us has a rhythm, a color, and as I studied also in Cuba, I know a lot about the Santeria, and in Brazil, the Candomblé, because everything comes from Africa. So we have what we call, when we do these ceremonies, the person who is going to release, even nowadays, if they take them to a psychiatrist and this and that, and if it doesn't work, they will take them to this kind of healer. The whole ceremony happens with music, with the musicians, but when it gets darker, or it gets a little bit more, when people are, we create that sacred space, then the one who is really dealing with or bringing the spirits is always a woman, and she's called the shawafa. So she's a kind of shaman. And sometimes we start in North Africa, we start with other colors. She brings all the colors with her, and the first spirit is a beggar called Boudarbel, and Boudarbel has all the colors. And then when somebody is sick, then the musicians are going to try different rhythms until they find the rhythm. And when that person who is there to release then starts dancing to the trance. And then when she dances or he dances to the trance, then that is not the end, because first of all, people are going to pray for themselves, and everybody is taking care of that person. So when I came to the West, and a lot of dancers, they do on stage the trance, and I never wanted. I used to do it, and then I was in the trance on stage because I'm a dancer. I didn't want to do it anymore until something happened where I have been asked to go to Germany and teach them about the trance. And I explained that I am going to do that only when people are ready. So when I did it the first time, of course, I didn't think about protecting myself, but I tried to help. I brought something to the West that when you are getting in that kind of, I would say, the altered state of consciousness, you have to be safe, and you have to make sure that you are safe if you are the one who is helping. I call myself a facilitator, and sometimes I put them in two, so that one is helping, and then they exchange, and then at the end we have different kind of. We start with a meditation, and I end it with one kind of ceremony, like to just make sure that they are going to go safe home. And with another Egyptian man, he wanted to add that to the dance, and then he would do it in 1 hour, the last hour before everybody is leaving to go home. And I was explaining that you cannot do that because you are opening people to something, and then you are not aware that actually everything can happen to them. Even if they release something, entities are around, they can come back very quickly. So it's interesting I am coming today because usually Wednesdays I cannot attend. I am organizing what I call the healing wheel. I'm going to Colorado next weekend, and the healing wheel is to give the opportunity to the people who are coming to do the sound, to do the breath work, to do the whirling, but ending with a trance. And the trance is just for people to release, but very often in the part of the culture I come from, we believe to what we call the invisible people. The invisible people are very, even the word that we call jinn, when we use it, when we speak it, we always have to send some protection because we believe they are around us. And we come from the earth, but they come from the fire. And when we are going somewhere, we have to make sure that we are not going to harm them. And often people believe that somebody can be possessed by one of these entities, and we have to make sure that they are going to be safe. So my work is really about movement, about breath, and about sound. And entities can be released with the music, with the drumming, with things like that. But I appreciate your work because it's like we are coming from so many different angles, but we are both, or the three of us, or all of you, trying to heal. And there are so many ways to heal. And I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you for sharing. I must say I really love the colour that you're wearing. I feel it's interesting that you're talking about the lady that brings all of the colours. I think the colour has a very interesting vibration. Each colour is very special and holds a healing frequency. And of course, colour psychology is a thing that's used, and green, of course, is associated with the heart, very much on that ray. Where can we find out about your work, Amel? What's your website?
In my website, it's ameltafsout.com. I can put it on but in the website, because I'm a performer and I'm a dancer, I am going to create another website about my spiritual work. There is something, but it's not enough, but I can put it on the chat. But if you are interested, I have some lectures, and I am very, very happy to share. I am very interested about Sufism, but I'm interested about the women because Sufism has been taken over by men, but actually the first Sufi is Rabia al-Basriya, who was actually a woman, and I want to bring the feminine in the healing work and in the Sufi work too. So, but please, if you are interested, you can also, I put my website and I put my email address because I'm very happy to communicate with some of you, because this is, especially living here in America, this is time for healing. Not just in America, but all over the world.
Absolutely.
This is my website, and this is my email address.
And please also share it on the Facebook page, Sacred Segments, so that the wider community can see that. I want to just welcome Syra to the group that's joined us. I'll speak to you in just a moment, Syra. Very interesting that you're here when Jonno and Andy are here, which you'll get to hear more about in a second. And we also heard from Greg, who does some amazing work in the States with gay men, and he's got very interesting history as an empath and as a psychic. Amel, I wanted to just say that it's really interesting that you're talking about Sufism, because earlier on I mentioned a famous British psychic called Tracy Ash, who said she may join us this evening in the 15 minutes that we've got left. I don't know whether she will or not, but she is a Sufi with an eco hotel, 2 eco hotels on the grounds of the temple at Luxor. Yeah, who trained at the College of Psychic Studies. And I really feel that you ladies need to connect, because there's a great connection there that I feel. Syra, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to speak openly a little bit about you and our connection. Is that okay? Thank you. Welcome to the group. Thank you for joining us. Syra has shared with me that she suffered with schizophrenia, and has, experienced that for some years. You've also lost your sister, right, and your mother recently, or in the past few years, which had a great impact on you, I know. The reason I'm mentioning this is because we were talking with Jonno and Andy earlier about mental illness, and how mental illness is seen from a different approach to the Western traditional view through their work. Perhaps, Andy, could you maybe just summarize a little bit for Syra's benefit and for all of our benefit, the connection between mental illness and spirit release?
Yeah, certainly. I think from our perspective, really, again, what we really have found with the research that we've done over probably like a 20-year period, really, is that a lot of, probably 80% of people that have mental health conditions or problems are actually suffering from some sort of attachment issue, whether that be a discarnate spirit, so someone like us that's been alive and died, and that spiritual energy is connected to the field, or whether it's DFE, a dark force entity that's connected to them. And basically that tends to happen because the aura has been perforated through different things, could be substance, medications, recreational drugs, that type of thing, or of course trauma as well. So people that go through these different things and problems in their life end up with a perforated etheric field, and then these attachments can come in and connect, and they siphon energy, so people feel very fatigued and tired. Again, there's lots of different issues, CFS, fibromyalgia, different things could be kind of surfaced, but primarily it's the intrusive thoughts, the intrusive feelings. People obviously kind of get labelled, I guess, as schizophrenic, so they're hearing voices and they're communicating with spirit. And the way that John and I we always laugh about this really, is that we're both schizophrenic, of course, because we're mediums, and therefore we can talk to spirit and we can talk to entities. It's just that we can control the conversation because we have our spiritual protection in place, and our guides and gatekeepers are working with us to control the narrative, where someone that's schizophrenic doesn't have that boundary and control, are continually being talked to by things that are around them, really. So that's kind of the area that we're in. And as an academy, Spirit Release Academy, our kind of core raison d'etre really is to teach practitioners the methods that we use, working in pairs, effectively a facilitator and a medium and a spirit guide, to connect to a client that's suffering with these sorts of problems, and then to clear the field of all of the things that we see. And I think Jonno kind of explained earlier, there's a whole list of things, not just DFEs and discarnate spirit. There's probably, I think there's like 20 odd things that we look for and clear. AI implants, again, if you've got an entity controlling you, they're manipulating your perception. So you'll be seeing things differently, hearing things differently. Your thought process will be very different as well, because they manipulate and control the thought process behind the scenes. So it's kind of where we are really from that perspective. And in our research, Dr. Terence Palmer, who we were working with until he passed away, he worked over like 1,000 documented cases, and the numbers really that were crunched, the stats came in at kind of 80% of the people that we helped with this protocol to detach and clear these energies. And then there were 20% of people left who didn't really observe a particularly good or any positive change to their condition. No one got worse, but some people just didn't notice the change. But those people were very kind of fringe. So again, some of them are psychotic, again, lots of drugs and things. So in our world, our view, 80% of mental health problems can probably be helped with some sort of spiritual approach, and 20% is probably maybe a medical or chemical problem from a kind of brain perspective, really. Does that kind of make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it does for me. Syra, would you mind unmuting? Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to say? We can't hear you, so unmute if you could, please. In the 10 minutes that we have left together, I'm going to once.
Sorry, I've managed to unmute. I'm on a phone, so
Go ahead.
Hence
why, because I'm outside. I was actually feeling really fatigued earlier, and I thought, no, if I get some fresh air, then that I could enjoy your thing. In terms of it's quite complicated. I am still on medication for schizophrenia, but I'm also having like talking therapy, and the lady thinks that I've got, the therapist, psychologist I should say, thinks I've got complex trauma and ADHD, and she doesn't really think I've got schizophrenia. So I'm just waiting to maybe have the ADHD medication to see if that makes any difference. But this is a little bit strange, and there's another lady that Alexis knows. Basically, my mum's left her flat to me and my sister, and apparently I didn't even know that I said this when I went to a recent, mind you, it was April. I went to a psychiatrist to have a meeting, and apparently I said this when I looked at my notes, and I wasn't even aware of it at the time. I'd said, oh, I could hear a voice in my mum's flat, not knowing that I'd said that. And when I read it back, I was like, oh, did I? And then the lady that I know, that Alexis is going to, said, it's not your mum, it's somebody else. And, I do kind of need help on maybe clearing that. But also my mum's Jewish, and a rabbi suggested that I look at the mezuzah on the door, because if it's damaged in any way, you have to put a new one on and all that stuff in terms of the protection of the Jewish way. But, there's other protection. It doesn't have to be the Jewish way. That was my mum's religion. So, anyway, that's what the rabbi said, obviously.
Thank you for sharing that, Syra. That's really interesting and timely. Jonno, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, a lot of the work that we do is remote, so we don't necessarily have to go in person. But through the guides, we can go in and check properties, we can check land, we can check any discarnate spirit, any earthbound spirit that is attached to you. So the general conception of attachments is exactly what is it. Excuse me. Exactly what is within our protocol of work. So this would be something that we would do daily.
Okay.
Okay. So
and sorry, how long does that last? Doing the.
So it depends really, and the main control over the timescale is the recipient of the work, not us. Because as you can imagine, if I'm working with any of you individually, if we do that clearing is there and then for now. If you go out and then you start entertaining Class A drugs, you start entertaining, alcohol. If trauma happens in your life, everybody experiences trauma. But if trauma happens in your life, these things can fracture and perforate your natural protective field, your auric balance. And we're not in control of that. So one of the things that we do is that we try and teach a way of psychic protection so that someone can take responsibility for their own spiritual and energetic hygiene. And that means that it will last a lot longer than somebody that doesn't do it. And of course, that then takes a discipline. You then have to learn how to do it. It is easy, but you have to understand how to do it, and you have to do it regularly. And if you don't do it regularly, and if you do it for a week and then forget about it, it's just like having your car serviced. You take your car out of the service garage, you've just had oil change, you've just had everything done on it, the spark plugs are working well, but if you don't treat the car well, you're going to have problems. It's as simple as that. And it's exactly the same with your own energy. We do teach that you have to take responsibility for your own spiritual hygiene. And of course, we're there for when that doesn't happen.
It's very empowering to take responsibility for your own energy, because it kind of puts the onus on you to allow or not allow what energies that you want to engage with or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that one of the comments that comes to us, not very regularly, but it has been said a couple of times, is that this is a fear factor that we're sort of teaching. We're teaching that people have entity attachment, people have energetic attachment. It's not fear factor at all. We're trying to empower people. We're trying to clear people so they have a sovereign energy, so they have a pure base energy from themselves, so they can make their own decisions. And then they can take responsibility for themselves. And if they choose to do that, it's very simply done. Everybody can do it. You don't have to be a medium to do it. I personally believe that everybody is psychic, because everybody has a gut feeling. We all know when we walk into a room, sometimes that we enjoy the presence in that room, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we meet somebody for the very first time and you think, I'm like a brother to you. I know you. I know you well. I don't know how I know you, but we're going to be mates. You know, somebody else you might want to keep your distance from. We all have psychic energy about us. And the whole thing with us, particularly for light workers, is that energy is everywhere in the universe, absolutely everywhere. So, you know, if you do want to go into Walmart, if you do want to walk into a supermarket, you're going to be a magnet for energy, particularly if you're a light worker. And how many people do psychic protection before walking through their supermarkets? You know, supermarkets have perhaps 1 or 2 entrances. How many thousands of people walk through those entrances every single day? And you're going to have people with serious issues. You're going to have people that are very calm and collected and perhaps have no issues. And you're going to have everything that's in between. And you're now going to walk up and down the aisles in the same energetic space as everybody else. And this is the thing. This is one of the things that we teach. Is because perhaps you can't see it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not there. Now, we're all intelligent in the year 2025. And if I touch my screen and my camera, you know that I've just touched my camera. No one can see it. Yet we all know my fingerprint is there. So my DNA is there. My energy is there. So why wouldn't it work when you're walking around Sainsbury's? Why wouldn't it work when you're walking around Walmart or any other shop or any other public arena, public event? Energy is absolutely everywhere. To protect your energy is easy to understand. It's easy to do, and it makes a difference to your life. It makes a difference to your career, makes a difference to your home, makes a difference to those around you, because what we find is that when you have one person who is affected, that then ripples out through their social circle. It ripples out through their home life. It ripples out through their family. So just by clearing one person, you can actually affect 5, 10, 20. It's a massive difference. So we believe that this is at the forefront of everything. Every single piece of holistic therapy, medical help, whatever it is, if you haven't got a healed soul, how do you heal? And this is sometimes why medication goes on for years and years and years and years without actually healing, when in fact the issue was spiritual. And that could be cleared by someone like myself, someone like Andy, someone like our practitioners within an hour.
In closing this evening, I would like to just do a very quick visualization and then go around the group and ask 2 questions, which are, What are you grateful for? And the other question is, what is your power word or word that you would like to connect with energetically? So the visualization that I would like to share is this. Simply put your hands on your knees, take a deep breath, and connect with the Mother Earth as a living, breathing, conscious entity of love. And direct your consciousness into the heart of the Mother Earth, which is a living, breathing, conscious entity who allows us to live on her. And visualize with humility and request her violet flame of transmutation and protection for all of us and for our world. And visualize this velvet violet fire as a living, breathing, psychic, etheric entity coming up through the soles of the feet, as high as you can imagine into space, and extending around all of us individually and around the whole globe, around the whole cosmos and the whole of creation, blazing, clearing, cleansing, transmuting all lower frequencies into the frequency of love. Hold that visualization just for a moment. Take another deep breath. And with gratitude, release that. And being fully present, and connecting back with the group and opening our eyes. We're going to go around the group and say something that we're grateful for and a power word or word that we want to connect with. I'll start. I am grateful for health, and my power word is connection. Syra, I'm going to ask you, what are you grateful for?
Well, right now I'm in nature, so nature, or Mother Nature, I should say. And my word was the same as yours, so shall I change it?
Up to
The
you.
the power word. Okay, let's see the power. Abundance. Although I don't really feel it. Hang on. Connection, abundance, help. Is that a power word? That's not a power word, is it?
It could be. Yeah. Yeah. You're being helped, right?
Being
You are being helped. That's a good one. And what are you grateful for? Nature?
Yeah, nature, Mother Nature.
Yeah. Thank you, Syra. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Andy.
Yes, good question, Alex. So for me, I'm grateful for the ability to act as a channel for spirit, basically, so that spirit can come through, work through me, talk through me, obviously with my guide. And for me, the kind of key word really is laugh. So for me, laughter is opening the heart chakra, and that kind of raises our vibration, and everything is about vibration. So kind of laughter is my kind of, laugh every day is our kind of core word really, and quote.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Great to meet you. And Greg, something you're grateful for and the power word.
I'm grateful for connection or connections. My power word is authenticity.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to meet you. Hope you can come back and
Absolutely.
hope to hear more from you. Jonno, something you're grateful for.
I'm grateful for, well, my power word is love, because that's the most powerful energy in the universe. And something I'm grateful for is the opportunity to meet people like you and the extended light family, light warriors. And there's lots of things going on in the world at the moment, and light always overpowers dark. So I'm grateful for the light.
Thank you very much. Great to meet you, and
Yeah.
hope to see you guys again. Thank you for
Definitely.
taking the time to share your work with us and to connect with all of us. Really, very much appreciated. Amel, you beautiful soul, something that you are grateful for.
I am grateful for the divine timing, and my power word is grace.
Very beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you
Amel.
very much. It's so nice to be here. And I would like to connect with Andy and Jonno and Greg. I would like to know more about you. And thank you, everyone, for your presence.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to be here.
Yeah,
Great to
we'd
meet.
also like to connect to everybody as well.
Wonderful. Well, please come back. It's every 2 weeks. Yeah, hope to see you. Please do connect also to the Facebook group, Sacred Segments, and I will share this with you in a couple of weeks once it's on the YouTube channel.
Perfect. That's great.
Have a
Oh,
beautiful
wow.
rest of the day or evening, wherever you are in the world.
Thank
See you
Thank you,
soon.
Alexis.
God
you very
bless.
much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.